Hello everyone, I'm going to mod some movie again, and I'm going to pick up from where we left off from the previous video. So we're not going to go through the whole extracting the game disk and industrial park and associating the files and tagging and stuff. We're just going to jump right into our extract, and we're going to try to create a custom level. So what we're going to do that is to open industrial park, alright? I'm going to open industrial park again. And from here, you're going to want to go over to Archive Editor. We're going to make a new custom level, basically, like from the ground up, kind of, sort of sense. Like, we're going to make a standard point A to point B level. We're not going to have, like, Blender custom models or anything. We're just going to use assets that are already in the game itself. So, let's just begin. Go up to Archive Editor, click on the New Editor. Then you go to File, and then you click New again. Just bear with me. Okay, for game, we're going to do the SpongeBob SquarePants movie / The Incredibles. Because both games use the same engine, makes sense for them to use the same pack setting. For platform, we're going to use GameCube. Although Xbox and PS2 are partially supported, GameCube is the most recommended at this time. Then we're going to add default assets. And you can keep no layers on if it's your first time, just so you don't have to deal with layers, but I prefer using layers, so I'm going to uncheck that. Again, feel free to keep that checked. Alright, from there you're going to create a copy, and it'll create 5 default assets. It'll create the player, named Hero, that's our starting position. If I click on View, it'll point me to where it is in the game space. The environment plus the world is basically, determines what lighting the level uses. You'll notice it uses Jellyfish Fields lighting, which is this little bugger right here. You can change the lighting if you want, but for now I'm just going to keep it there. As well as the start camera. This is basically like required for the game to work, I guess. The camera's required for the level to work. Just bear with me. It's some weird coding quirk. It's like a weird quirk of Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights. Heavy Iron also made that game, and they just never bothered gutting the requirement for starting cameras, so it is what it is. Anyway, and then down here we have the, let me just, alright, down here is the scene properties. The most important thing about the scene properties is that it determines music. Right here, there is no default, it's just 000, but I know a couple of the file names by memory, so I'm just gonna put in like the desert music, which I know is called music_de.wave. That's the name. Just bear with me. If you want to know, or if you want to find the names of all the music, you can open MNUC from the file extract. Anyway, we're gonna save this, and we're gonna save our file in a new folder. We're gonna call this file custom level. I already have the folder here because I messed up previously. I'm just gonna overwrite the one that I already made. How silly of me. Anyway, now when we boot up the game, now when we boot up a new game, it'll hopefully boot into the level, or like the main menu. It'll boot into the main menu, and then when you start a new game, it'll go to the level. It doesn't have like a proper title, but alright, there we go. SpongeBob is falling. Let me zoom in. SpongeBob is falling. Great. Now we know our level's working. Now we're just gonna have to copy like a sky dome from another level. So what we're gonna do is open our extract, and we're gonna try to get a sky dome from a level. Easiest one I'd recommend would be one of the ones from the floating block. So we can just open that. So I'm going to click on the hip, and then I'm going to grab the hop, and I'm going to just drag that in, because that's how I do it. As a reminder, if you want to open a new level in a new window, you can just go down to Archive Editor and open a level, and you can select. But anyway, now that we're in the level, we're going to have to click on the sky dome. Alright? Then go down to hip, because that's where the placement of the sky dome is. You're going to copy that into your level. And you're also going to want to get the model for the associated model, which is the floating block model. It's in the hop because all models and textures are in the hop. I'm just going to copy that in there. I'm going to click on that again, edit it, and it's called open the material editor and click up here. You can copy paste the texture, copy paste the texture name, boom. Here's the texture, copy that in. Once you're done copying, you can organize it, semi-legacy or organized. Again, if you're not using layers, this part doesn't matter, but I like to keep my textures and models organized. So let's see, is it in our level yet? Go up to display, click refresh. Okay, it's in our level now. That's good. Now when we boot our level up, it should just appear. It should just appear in the level. Doobity-boobity-boop. It's getting kind of annoying for it to default to the main menu. There's a way to fix that in the INI. I'm going to have to do that in a bit. Alright, great. Yeah, the game's lagging. I think it's just because I have the floating block thing open. Okay, that gave it a sigh of relief, but yeah. Also, you'll notice that SpongeBob's still falling. We're going to have to add an out-of-bounds trigger for that later, but for now, let's try to import a template. Let's import a template platform, like a template platform. So you want to go down to Editor Files under Tools, and that'll just start downloading some templates for platforms and enemies and assets. So let's import a floating block template. So you're going to want to click on Template Focus, and then you want to go down to Add Template, then go down to Movie Game, then go down to Floating Blocks. And you would want to pick one of these, I think, except I'm just realizing that if I do that, it's actually not going to appear. It's going to be a cube because we haven't actually imported any assets. So if that ever happens, you want to go up to Edit, and then you want to go up to Hip File. Then you're going to click Import Force Overwrite, and then you're just going to want to go over to your Industrial Park folder, go down to Resources, then go down to Editors, then Master, then Movie, and then GameCube. And then you're going to want to go down to Utility, and you're just going to import whatever you want. In my case, I'm going to need the floating block template. Where is it? Floating block. Here it is. Click on that. Open it. Okay, that fixed our conundrum. There we go. But where's my player? I don't see him. I'm going to have to go up to my hip and... Where is he? Select him. Where is he? Oh, he's there. Okay. Let's place him above the block. Yeah? Where is he? Oh, he's way over here. That's... Whatever. Let's put him on the... Okay, he's clipping. He's clipping. Okay, wait. Depth perception, am I right? Anyway... There you go. There he is. I want him to face the other way, though. I'm going to change his yaw to 180, because that'll make him turn the other way. But if you don't want to type it in, you can also just rotate him manually by right-clicking him, going under Gizmo, and then picking Rotation or Position. There you go. There you go. Let's just save. Did I save? A shortcut for saving is Control S, but if you're not focused on an editor, you can also do Control Shift S, and that'll also save it, or at least all the open hips. So then go to Dolphin. Alright, let's see if this worked. Let's see. Oh, right, the menu. It's gonna go into the main menu. I don't want that. So in order to fix that, we're gonna go down to sbo4.ini in our extract, and we're going to find show menu on boot. We're going to make that 0 just for the heck of it. See how that works. Alright, let's see. Let's see if it boots. Alright, great. That's great. Our block is ready. That's good. Now wait, this is like the starting, the bare minimum. Alright. So, now what? Well, we're gonna have... I guess we can expand upon this and add more blocks. What blocks did it add exactly? I'm gonna have to check my models. It added the basic block, the scaling block, which is just the bubble block. Spikes, for the spikes. The spring block, I want a spring block. There's also a floating block platform and an ice platform. Oh, that's cool. I want to use the floating block platform though. Alright, so let's go down into the template. Let's see, where is it? Floating blocks. Where's the safe? Oh, here it is. Wooden platform. I feel like this would probably be more appropriate. Let's give it the same coordinates as this block. That's a lot easier than trying to manually move it. That should help. Alright. I'm going to move you off to the side. I'm going to bring you a little further down. If you press H, pressing H would typically clicks the object closer to the ground, but okay. That's going to be our starting point. Let's create another one. We can just copy paste the one we already have. That's fine. This is just a demonstration. Doesn't have to be perfect. In case you accidentally copy it, it might overlap if you don't move it. So, alright, let's move you over here. And, let's see, let's copy all of these. Let's make a basic level. Let's copy them all. Let's copy them all and something like that. Yeah, that's fine. Let's put a Goofy Goober token at the end on this platform. But we're gonna need to have the boot file open from the extract, so let's just pull that open. The boot contains all the models so that they're visible in the editor. You don't need it, but it's good for like reference. So let's go down to let's go to the custom level again, and let's click on the template. You're gonna use this a lot whenever you want to import something. Movie game, pickups, Goofy Goober token. There he is. Click on view. Alright. Let's align it with this platform by clicking it and then copying its coordinates over. Just a reminder that to select, you have to do Control G. Let's do that. Let's just copy paste the safe platform's position. Although if you do this, it will be in the ground, but you can just shimmy it up. That's fine. And that'll just be there. Let's run the game again. This is point A to point B. The point B being this Goofy Goober token. Oh no. I think I might have forgotten to do something. I might have gotten... That error message was not supposed to happen. I might have forgotten to organize the layers. Let me just fix that. Again, if you're using no layers, then this will never happen to you. Honestly, I would just recommend that. But I hate myself, apparently. Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Alright, here's our level. Very basic, fairly whatever. Let's collect our token. Nothing will happen when you collect this. It'll just increment the time. It'll increment the UI thingy in the corner. Alright, that's the bare minimum we're gonna do. We're not gonna have it like teleport anywhere. That's a bit too much, in my opinion, for this video. So let's try to let's expand upon this. We have our basic template, so let's try to make this platform move. Let's have it like shimmy back and forth here, even if it clips, even if it looks bad. I want to figure out how to make this thing move. If you click on it, you can go down to motion, and there's like a bunch of settings you can change for motion. Currently it's set to slide. So let's just go down to display and click on movement preview. This will like preview how the platforms move, and you'll notice that the sky dome also begins moving. That is because the sky is also technically a platform. So fun fact, let's have this slide 10 units. Okay, well, why is it flashing? Because the time it takes to slide is 0, so let's give it, I don't know, 2 seconds. Alright. That looks good. That looks fine. Let's disable the movement preview. Run the... oh crap. Wrong one. Let's see. Let's see how that works. Doobie-doobie-boop. Oh look! Our platform's moving. So that's nice. Although it does look kind of unpolished. What do I mean by that? I mean kind of snaps. It doesn't like look natural. Well, how do you change that? Well, there's some acceleration there's like an acceleration motion setting too, I think. Yeah, the slide accel and decel. Usually you want this to be slow, so I guess we can have it be like half a second or maybe even a quarter second. We can do quarter second. Why not? That'll probably help. Let's run Dolphin again. Doobie-doobie-doop boop boo boop boo boop boop boo. Oh, does it look more natural? I'd say so. Yeah, that looks a little more natural. We should put a pickup on top of this block. We should put like a collectible, like a treasure chest. I think that would be fun if we put like a treasure chest. So I'm gonna get the template out and go down to the pickups again. Where's the treasure chest? Here it is. Let's give it the same coordinates as the block, just so that it's nice and even though it doesn't really matter. Also, it appears that I'm copying the coordinates to the wrong asset. Oops. That's a bad... whatever. I'm copying them. That's just how I roll. I mean, you can move them. Oh, right. It's inside the block now. It's inside the block now. That's not what we wanted. Let's just... okay. That's great. So let's run Dolphin. Let's see how it moves along. See if it works. See if it moves. Oh, wait. No. It's not moving. It's not moving with the extra. Why? That's because we need to mount it, actually. So we need to add an event to this guy. We gotta go down to links, and we're gonna have to add one. So click add, and then we're gonna use the trusted scene prepare event, which is commonly used for whenever something needs to happen at the start, like immediately. It doesn't matter. So on scene prepare, we want this to mount. We want it to mount self. That's how it is. So we're gonna have it mount itself onto the floating block one. And that should just work. Saving, running. Let's see if it worked. Alright. Now it's moving along with the platform. That's cute. Adds a bit of a challenge. Not a great challenge. It's not really the point, but... let me try to... okay, good. It's working. It's great. Oh, wait. I'm falling forever. That's not good. How do I fix that? Easy. We're gonna create an out-of-bounds trigger. Well, how do you create an out-of-bounds trigger? Well, the obvious answer would be to copy one from the floating block challenges or the combat arenas, but I'm not gonna... you know what? Actually, that would actually be easier. Unironically, that would unironically be easier to do. I'm just gonna look it up. I think it's called Out of Bounds. Yeah, it's just called Out of Bounds. I'm copying this sucker from the combat arenas. Forget it. I'm copying it, whatever. That's probably easier. I just have to make sure that the player name is the same. You'll notice that it's a jumble of letters here because the name of the player asset is different in the combat arena, so I'm just gonna have to change it to Hero. Hero 1, and that ought to fix my problem. Well, not quite. It's not quite aligned. Let's fix that. Anyway, for those wondering, the out of bounds event is very simple. It's just enter player, out of bounds, hero. So whenever the player enters this trigger, it'll cause the out of bounds event to target the hero. So that's how it works. Fairly basic, happens to work. Yeah, that's just my motto. Try not to do things from scratch. Actually, it would actually be better if you just copied stuff from other levels, because that's just way less work, and you probably learn how things work along the way. Yeah, that works. Now it's out of bounds. That's good. What else am I forgetting to mention? We've done pickups. Oh, enemies. I think enemies might help. Enemies. Let's import some enemies into this sucker. So let's go repeat the steps. You do this a lot. Oof. Okay, enemies. Let's just add up one enemy. Let's add like... I want to add a fogger from the trench levels. Why not? I'm ignoring you. Anyway, let's just... Okay, that imported the assets, but it didn't import the enemy itself, so we just have to pick the right template. You have to remember which one it is, because if you pick the wrong one, the enemy's not going to load, and neither will the level. So you got to make sure you pick the right one. Fogger Trench. Here he is. And he is paired with a circular move point. You can move the move point independently of the enemy in case you want to have his range be a little more different from his spawning position, but that should work. And in case he falls through the floor, you want to make sure that the enemy flag walk on plats and simps is set to true. In this version of Industrial Park, they're already set like that, so I don't have to worry about that. So let's run the game again. Dooby-doo, dooby-dibba-boom, bom, boom, ba-bum, ba-da-ba-doo. Loading. There he is. Very cool. Kill him. Yippee! Very cool. I suppose it would be fun if the Goofy Goober Token required you to, like, I don't know, press buttons in order for it to spawn. That would be an interesting challenge. I want to add buttons, but I don't believe that there's a template for it. Well, there might be. There might be a template, but just to be safe, I'm probably just going to copy the button from No Cheese, because that's easier, in my opinion. So I'm going to open No Cheese, and we're just going to steal the button from that level. And I know exactly what asset type it is, so I'm just going to hide everything and only have buttons visible and simple objects visible. And I'm just going to go over to the part of the level where it is. Boy, this is lagging. I think it's using the Intel graphics card instead of my NVIDIA, but that's besides the point. Here's the button that we're going to steal. So I'm just going to steal it. I'm going to copy both over to my level. We're going to copy their positions, and we're going to copy the models themselves, which are button, base, and button. Button, base, and button. I'm just going to copy button, base, and button from the hop file because I am lazy. Oh, I think you also have to copy button green over, so that's fun. Why do I do this to myself? I don't know. Do I even have all the assets? Probably not. Button, base, button texture. There's the red one. Very cool. Where the heck is the button, actually? I don't even know where it is. Button base. It's usually in all caps, so... Okay. There he is. Did I copy everything properly? Am I missing something? Yeah, I'm missing the texture. That's... I think it's called Tube House, actually. I've been copying this so many times, I already know what the name of the model texture thingy. The name of the texture is Tube House. Yippee. Yeah. Refresh for me. Alright, I'm gonna move you. I'm gonna move you to my level. I'm gonna move you all the way over here. I'm gonna have you all the way over here, bro. Come on. Come on! Work with me. There we go. We got our button. Let's rotate it. What happens if I rotate it? I hope what happens happens. Oh, no. Yeah, they rotate differently. Isn't that great? That's not great, actually. That's kind of awful. I guess they never expected anyone to do this. Am I rotating the roll? Yeah, I've been rotating the roll. I guess that doesn't matter. I guess we just have to rotate the button itself. Yeah, we can rotate the button itself, although... Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of this whole rotating the block and button separately. I think the way to fix that is to select both of them and simply change the pitch to be identical between both. I think that's all you have to do, but just for the heck of it, I'm just gonna like change all their rotation settings to 0, and I'm gonna give them all the same like coordinates. That ought to fix it, I think. Okay, that fixes it somewhat, although I think the scale might... I think the scale has to be a little lower. I don't actually remember. Yeah, that could work, I think. Yeah. But now it's on the wrong side. That is terrible. I'm gonna have to move both upward. Yeah, move them upward. See, now I remember why I never use buttons. Let's give them the rotation that they need. What's the rotation they need? I think they need to have, was it 270? Yeah, 270. They need to each have 270 and then it'll work. Yeah, that's it. Now when I try to rotate it, it'll work. Yeah. Yeah, we got it working. Hooray. Now I can just copy them around, I guess. There you go. Yeah, so in summary, the buttons and the base need to be at the same coordinates, and they each need to share the same pitch. And I guess the yaw needs to be 0 in this case, but the roll is whatever. Very complicated, I know, but... Well, now we need to configure this button to actually do what we want it to do. We want it to spawn the token at the end, and for the occasion, I'm going to have it be invisible at the start. So how do you make it invisible? Well, we can add a scene prepare event. So at the beginning of the level, it's going to collision visible off. It's going to turn off its collision, and it's going to turn off its visibility. That's what it means. Then you can click on self. Collision visible off self. Scene prepare. Yeah, and that'll just make it not appear. So we're going to have this button. When pressed, activate this Goofy Goober token. So we can go up to here, we click up here, and we can, well, we can delete all of these, or we can use one. We can reuse one of them. So button press, that's the event we need for pressing buttons. Button press, collision visible on. This time it's collision visible on, and we're going to put the name of the Goofy Goober token. So now when you press this button, it'll make it appear. But let's put it in a let's put it on a tricky area. Let's put it in a tricky spot. Like maybe we can put it here. Maybe we can put it right here. Have it overlapping. And you have to get up to the platform to press it. Sure, why not? Maybe we can make a copy of this block. Sure, let's make a copy of this block and move it over here. And we can move the button over to that area as well, and that'll be our challenge. Maybe we can move it over here since we know it's going to slide back and forth. We can put the button here. Let's see if that works. Hopefully I've set everything up correctly. Doobie doobie boop boop boo doo doop boo ba 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 doop ba ba. Loading is very boring. Alright. So the Goofy Goober token is gone, and just to test, I'm gonna go over there and see if it works. Alright, it's gone. Great. Now we just gotta make sure that we can jump on our platform and try to press this button. Oh look, pressing the button actually did the thing. Who would have thought? Yippee! That's great. So yeah, that's how you make a custom level in this game, I guess. A very short one at that. There's obviously more you can do. You can add more enemies, add different kinds of blocks. But whether or not they have templates is completely random. You may or may not have to copy stuff from other levels, but in our case we were able to use the floating block template in order to make this tiny custom level where you press a button and it makes a token appear. Yippee! Thank you for listening to me talk and stuff. And I hope to see more custom levels made in the future, because I love making those, and I love playing those. Bye!